What are you most proud of in our relationship? There's that video that I have seen years ago. I showed it to him before. It's like this monk taught us a lesson as to why our rings are in that ring finger. Hi guys, so for this video we are going to do 15 questions on reflecting on life together. So these questions are actually different from the last 4 videos that we have done. The first video we did is Would You Rather, and then I had about 2 different videos that I interrogated him, and then there was one video that we both answered. So for this one, it will be life together, a reflection on our life together questions that we'll be answering. Let's go. Okay, so for the first question that we have here is, what can we do in order to nurture our relationship as we get older so that we do not get stuck in our ways? So I'll just repeat that. What can we do in order to nurture our relationship as we get older so that we do not get stuck in our own ways? You go first.
Always take your wife on dates. Always go on dates where you can afford it. He can usually afford it. There's always a way to afford it. Just even if it's a movie or some cheap restaurant downtown or whatever it is, just always take your wife on dates. Because so many guys, as soon as they get the ring on the finger, they're like, okay, I don't have to date her anymore. It's easy for me. It's easy now. No. If you don't date your wife, she might find someone else to date instead of you. So you know what? Just keep dating your wife.
Well, it's not just about going on dates, sweetheart, because sometimes people, like maybe the young couples out there, like they would think that, oh, they need to save money because, you know, when you get married, the first thing that you as a couple, that your target is settling down, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to stabilize your life as a couple. So you want to get a house, you want to make sure you're stable, you have to have your savings. That's why most of the time, most couples get burned out. They have this marriage burnout that they say is because they get so focused on saving, they get so focused on making sure that have that stable life, but then they forget that they are married.
Yeah.
So because they're focused on saving, because they're focused on getting that stability, they forget that they can do simple things like going to the park is not gonna cost you. Maybe a gas is gonna cost you, but it's not gonna break the bank or anything. It's not gonna put a hole on your pocket. So go to the simple walk around the neighborhood with walking the dog, or even I see a lot of couples that they don't even have dogs and they're walking around the neighborhood. It's like it helps physically, mentally, emotionally, and it helps with your marriage as well. So that's what I always tell them. We don't always have to have an extravagant date. We don't have to have a luxurious getaway. You can just do simple things like that, sweetheart, like watch a movie together. While you're watching, don't fall asleep like this guy does. He's in the movie theater and he's dozed off and snoring. I have to literally wake him up.
Yeah, if you're working 10 jobs to buy a house, then guess what? You there's only so many hours in a day. You're not paying attention to your wife or your family if you're working that many jobs, and You'll get the house at the end of the day, but you also probably get slapped with a divorce at the same time, so it's not much fun.
Well, you can work several, like, it doesn't matter. You cannot take that away from them if that is something that they want to do, sweetheart. But what we should be doing is, like, it doesn't matter how busy you are. Once you walked in, what I always say to him is, like, I don't care who you are at work, but as soon as you walked in the house, you're a husband, you're a father. So you have to just, like, take that thing off, whatever you're doing, as soon as you get home. Be in the marriage, be in the family, because when the next day is gonna be your work again. You only spend so many hours at home with your family. Make that hours memorable. So let's move on to the second question.
I think the work from home thing's made that a lot worse because people are taking the work home with them because, hey, they're working from home now. So it's made things a lot worse.
Well, with time management, if they, okay, I work on the certain hours, but as soon as you clocked out, as soon as you logged off from work, You should be back into your system.
Yeah, I know people who are checking their email at 10 o'clock at night. It's not healthy.
Like you. All right, second question. How would you like to nurture our social relationships as we get older? Social relationship.
What on earth is social relationship? They mean,
I guess it's what we do with Lalabs and Kuyakwe.
yeah.
You know?
I guess building the group of friends and building on the friendships, because friendships they last forever. Those when you're with a person no matter what. So when that person has a problem, you help them out, and then when you have a problem, a few years later, they help you out. It's like I guess that kind of builds on it a little bit, and just maintain those friendships, you know.
But also be careful, because you don't want to have a conditional friendship.
Oh yeah.
So what is a conditional friendship? That's when you do something for them because you expect them to do something in return. So don't have a conditional friendship. I am blessed. I consider myself privileged to have Lalabs and Kuyakwe because they are unconditional friendship. They will be there for you regardless, and they will not expect anything in return. And that's the kind of friendship that you want. You don't want to have a friendship that have like a list of things that they expect from you. So it doesn't matter, like Lalabs and I were friends before, Lalabs and Kuyakwe and I were friends before marriage. So I know them, they know me before I got married with my husband. And then there was a time in our friendship that we all lost in touch. I got busy. That was a mistake also. You guys always remember that if you have good friends, you were with your friends before you were married. So don't neglect friendship. I'm thankful and I'm blessed because even though we had that gap in between, right, sweetheart? Like I had that big gap that I did not nurture our friendship. I completely neglected that part of a relationship, and that's something that I will not advise to anybody. Always remember, whoever's that unconditional friendship you have with, keep that, because you never know when things get in life and they will be the only one that you least expect because you have lost that. I lost touch with them completely, and I was at the bottom of my life, like really like down the drain, and they were the least people I expected to actually be there for me, to actually understand what I'm going through, to actually willing to do above and beyond without expecting anything in return. And even a few weeks back when things went wrong with financial stuff or anything else, we have a lot of problem. I've been through a lot of situations, and they have not judged me. They have not judged our life. They have not meddled with our married life, our personal life. Whatever happens behind closed doors in our home, and whatever happens behind closed door their home, that's their business. But when we know what's going on with each other. We know when we are there for each other. We know when it's okay to provide unsolicited advice, and we know when to step back. So that's one thing that I guess, how would you nurture that social life is just always remember that don't neglect that friendship. Don't neglect those people that you know have unconditional love and understanding for you. And I think you don't have that because, I don't know, you're in a different country or so you don't really have that bond, or you probably have. I think if you reach out to that friend in California, the one in EA Games, you probably know it's just that my husband is very introvert in a way that he's not very vocal like I am. I talk a lot, you know. We are both doing this videos. We're both doing this because it helps with what he's doing with public speaking. So we were both in we're not going to mention what club we're in because for privacy situations. But anyway, so how would you nurture that social life, sweetheart? Said a lot.
You said most of it. And the other thing I would add to that is never enter into what we call covert contracts with people. Now, covert contract is basically this: I lent you $400 last week, so I expect that back. But you don't tell them you expect it back, or you don't tell them, hey, I lent you $400, so I want you to kiss my butt and mow my lawn for the next month. You don't tell them that. You mentally make the contracts in your head, but you don't tell them the other person, hey, be nice to me. And that just creates bad feelings in friendships and relationships and marriages as well. Some people do that. Don't create don't create those covert contracts with yourself and with the other person. Just rather than never. Also, never loan a family member or a friend money. Give them the money. If it comes back, it comes back. If it doesn't come back, so what? If the friend makes a habit of asking for money and never doing things back, then maybe you should think about lending them less money next time. But don't ever expect it. Don't ever expect it to come back at all, really, because that's just gonna. Money ruins a lot of friendships and a lot of relationships that way. It's not worth it. You can't take it with you when you're gone.
Yeah, that's why I said like unconditional friendship is because there is no conditional. Like what we have with Lalabs and Kuya Koy, they don't expect anything in return. They don't expect like, okay, whatever. They give us food from time to time. They give us whatever, and they don't expect us to do that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, they're giving us food, they're doing things for us, but they're not like, okay, you have to do a lot of things for us because we're helping you out.
Yeah.
And like, they're not like that. So I'm thankful for that friendship that we have. It's so hard to find that kind of friendship because not even with family members. And the worst part is you expect family members to have that unconditional understanding, to have that unconditional relationship with, and that unconditional love. But trust me, I am so thankful and I feel so blessed that we have Lalabs and Kuya Koy because they don't give us that pressure of judgment. They don't give us that pressure of, what do you call that? Demeaning or belittling you or talking behind your back.
Yeah.
They have that respect as for the friendship, not just for the friendship, but they respect you individually. They allow you to grow individually, and even if you're all growing individually, they are embracing your growth as an individual. They're accepting who you are, who you become, what you are, what you were, whatever. There's like completely, it's like transparent with them. I have not had that type of relationship with anybody in terms of friendship. Everything seems to be like, it's like I get so tired that I have to explain every little thing to people. And with Lalabs and Kuya Koy, it's like, it's so relaxing and peaceful, right, sweetheart? Because you don't have to explain anything. You don't need to give them a reason for things. It's like they understand you and they're with you and they back you up 100%. So yes, that's the same thing. And be careful when you meet other people out there. If they're like there and you know that they're not giving you that genuine friendship, regardless of who they are, they could be strangers, acquaintances, family members. If they're not giving you that genuine understanding, genuine care, then be civil, you know, but don't, what do you call that? I don't know how to say it. Don't be rude. Don't be judgmental. I mean, let them do all that. But, you know, something I learned in my educational life is that just last night, actually, one of our homework is that you cannot control other people's opinion. You cannot control what they will think about you, regardless of how kind you try to be, regardless of how caring you try to be. Someone is always going to have something bad and negative thing to say about you, and you can't control that. But what you can control is your actions, your words, and your thoughts. So moving on to the third questions, what are some of your favorite memories from our life together?
When I first met you, and then church wedding, and then the trips we've made to the various places. I'm not going to go into where we went on those trips, but we went on some amazing trips, and that breaks the monotony of the relationship, shall we say? Because we all go to work, and we all come home, and we all have bills to pay, and we all have to take the dogs out and everything like that. But those trips stand out because they break up the boring part of the marriage and give you exciting moments in the marriage, because marriages are not all fun and happiness, and that's the problem when you go from dating to marriage, because dating, you're creating a good experience on every date, hopefully, and then you get a marriage and all of a sudden you guys are paying bills together and living together constantly and annoying each other and everything else that goes along with it. So you need those little vacations to actually break things up and say, okay, now I'm going to forget about bills, forget about the dogs, forget everything else, have a nice weekend in whatever city, It doesn't have to be $1 million vacation. You just have to plan. It just has to be a city. It can be a city in the same state. It's just a break from it all, really, to focus on each other. And those are the best memories I have.
That's true, because when we went on these vacations, I think we learned a lot, not just about ourselves, but we learned about what was lacking in the relationship. So we understood that we were going through a lot of ups and downs, and there were more downs than up, to be honest with you. But that's why it's important to always take a moment to be like, just remove yourself from the reality of life and take a moment to just relax and enjoy, forget the bills, forget certain things. You go on a vacation. When you go on a vacation, it's like turn off everything else. That's what we call the unplug. It's like you unplug yourself from social media, you unplug yourself from emails, you unplug yourself from constant communication with other people other than your partner, because that's you reconnect with each other. You bring out the reason why you were in that relationship to begin with. Why did you choose each other? Why did you decide to be together? So I guess one of my very favorite thing that I wish we could really do again is to go back to Niagara Falls. I want to go back to that is actually our very first out of state, first time alone together. We didn't have to worry about anything, and I want to go back there.
Yeah.
Want to go back there?
Yeah, we'll go back there, I think. I'm sure we will.
So the next question is, what would you have done differently if you could have a do-over in the relationship? I have something to say, but I can't say it.
Same here, yeah. There was let's say if you go into a relationship with kids, there will be no honeymoon period. Unfortunately, there will be no period where it's just you and your wife. It will be, unless you're lucky enough to have some relative who can look after them for a while, then there'll be no honeymoon period, and you go straight bang into the relationship. It's like running into a wall head first. It really is, because you're going from dating into a marriage with kids, and there's no alone time between you and the other person at all. That's the best way to put it, shall we? I kind of realize that, but
I think if we have a do-over, I think what I would have loved us to do is, I don't know, keep our mind that it's us in the relationship, because what happened is we focus on other things.
Yeah.
We didn't really focus on us. And that was the biggest mistake that I realized we have done over the years. We lost a lot of understanding from each other. We lost a lot of connections because there were so many things that we have to take care of. There were so many things we have to juggle that there was no eye to eye with each other anymore.
Yeah, I
So-
agree. And last like the last couple of years, things went bad. I won't go into everything that happened, but it because there was other influences in our lives, we lost contact with each other. Basically, we were under the same roof, living separate lives, and eventually, you do that, the marriage is going to fall apart. So
Do you feel fulfilled with I have to change this a little bit. Do you feel fulfilled with your life? Like, do you think your like educational or career situation? No, focus more on education. Do you feel fulfilled in that life, like your education background, whatever, like what you have achieved so far?
absolutely, I was told 20, 30 something years ago, I don't know. I went into the career. In the last day that I could apply to college. Sorry, I went to the career advisor office and said I'm applying to college. They looked at me like I'd just grown 12 freaking heads or something. Like, yeah, Flavors. Sorry, beep my name out. Is applying to college, and I was a DEF student in high school, and look at where I am now. I'm doing a doctorate, I have a master's, and I'm basically working for the greatest engineering organization in the world. And I come from barely graduating high school to that. That's a pretty amazing journey. The only part of it is just not giving up, because you're gonna be slammed down to the mat so many times, and you're gonna wonder where the heck it came from every single time you fail, and you just have to get back up and keep going again. It's not that I'm smarter than anybody else. I just got back up more times. I got back up one more time than everybody else and kept going. And yeah, you're gonna fail tests, so it's gonna suck and everything else, but keep going. I'm very happy on the road of taking. It took a long time. It probably shouldn't have taken this long. I'm almost 50 now, but I got there eventually.
Well, no one should ever feel scared or be intimidated with the word failure or fail, because what I have learned, like in my homework last night, is like, for as long as you are breathing, you are learning. And no one can really say that they know everything, because you don't know anything. You can be in your 30s, 40s, 60s, 80s, maybe even your 90s, and you still don't know anything. You don't know everything, for that matter. Why? Because everything changes generation to generation, year after year. There's a lot of things changes. Like 20 years ago, we didn't even think that we can do this. We're doing YouTube videos. We're doing content creator with TikTok. 20 years ago, this was not even like in our head. We didn't know this would be existing. So constantly in our life, for as long as we are breathing, we are learning. So from our experiences, from things that we don't do well in the past, that's not a failure. That's just a lesson along the way that we have to learn from. So my teacher, the instructor, my professor says that it doesn't matter if you are an instructor, it doesn't matter if you are the professor, never act like you know everything, because as a professor, you are going to learn from your student themselves. there are a lot of life experiences that they have experienced that you didn't have, you didn't go through, and you are going to listen to these students, you're going to listen to their life experiences, and you are going to learn from them. So for as long as you are breathing, for as long as you are alive, you are learning. So you cannot, no one have that title. You cannot be entitled to say that you know everything just because you have that doctorate degree or whatever. Sorry, sweetheart, but
That's all right.
that's true, because he can earn his doctorate right now, but 10 years from now he could be teaching and he's going to learn from students, and there's a lot of things 20 years from now that he doesn't know now. So he's going to learn from these students. He's going to understand that his time is different from his students' time. The same way as we always tell our parents, well, your time is different. You always say back in your time. That's true, because back in our parents' time, life was different. So they learn from us, we learn from them. So there's always that back and forth of learning from each other. So I would say that I wish I did not postpone my getting my master's degree, and I hope that I have taken that time to actually continue. But again, there's a lot of factors in life that have happened. So life happens, but again, it doesn't mean you failed. So if other people are successful now and you are not in that same level of success, it doesn't mean that you're a failure. It's just that your time hasn't come yet. So their time went way before your time. So it doesn't mean you're a failure if you're just getting your master's now, or you're just getting your bachelor's degree now. It doesn't mean you're a failure just because the rest of the people that's in your same age level are like above you. Anything
Yeah.
else?
Keep trying, and one day life's going to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, you're up. It's your turn.
What accomplishment are you most proud of?
Oh, jeez. I can't say there's one really, because I've done so much. You know, I've flown planes across oceans and got a job, put a place people dream of, and done a master's and working on a doctorate. That's a difficult question to say. I'd say right now it's the working on the PhD, because I never thought I'd be able to do that, but in a couple of years' time, I'm sure it's going to be something different. They all build on one top of the other, and so once you've done one, you look, okay, what's next? What's next? Actually, there's one story. The guys that went to the moon, they came back, they would suffer from depression. Why these guys that went to the moon suffer from depression? They suffer from depression because they just done the ultimate thing, and now what's better than going to the moon for these guys? Nothing really. So you know, you always have to keep climbing and find the next challenge. And the problem is when you reach that last challenge, after I do a PhD, I'm not really sure what my next challenge will be, but I'm sure I'll find it somewhere. Yeah.
My biggest accomplishment is that I'm proud of. Is actually not depending on my parents. That's one of the biggest accomplishment, that I can keep my head up straight, and I can say straight to anybody that I am not living off my parents. That's the biggest accomplishment. There's a lot of, even the relatives out there will tell me, it's like, why do you have to work? Actually, I have gotten that comment a lot of time, that close or immediate, first cousins will say, you don't need to work, your parents have this, your parents that, you know that. And I always tell them that, well, that's the thing. it's my parents. It's their money. It's their house. It's their savings. It's their life. It's not mine. Not just because my parents have these things. Not because my parents have the property. Not because my parents have the money. It doesn't automatically mean that it's mine. So for me, I'm the type of person that I want to have my own, work for it the way that my father have gone through it, because he taught me that don't be afraid to start from the bottom. It's okay not to be considered from the high top right away. Work from the bottom and prove yourself to your bosses, and work your hardest and prove to anybody, but prove to yourself. Always have a competition with yourself, not with anyone else. Compete with yourself. If you did great today, do better tomorrow. If you did great yesterday, you want to have the best today, not just be on the level of what happened yesterday. And for tomorrow, think, okay, I did this today. What can I do to make it even better tomorrow? That's what I have learned from my dad, and that's what I'm like. My biggest accomplishment is that I know I am. As soon as I got off of college, as soon as I started working for earning my own salary, I'm proud to say that I was able to take my dad on a date. I was able to take my dad out. I was able to enjoy moments and share what I earned. And I know that I work hard for it and not out of my parents' pocket. So that's why I have cousins always say that, why don't you work for your family business? That's not work for me. I want to work hard for what I deserve, that I know I deserve. Because once you enter a family business and everybody knows you're the child of the owner of that business, you're not going to get that fair treatment. So I decided to go in a different way. In Dubai, I was a driver, I was a janitress, I was a receptionist before I even got the title of production coordinator, before I got the executive marketing job, before I got into my editorial job. I work from the bottom. I proved myself. So before, my first job I was just an office girl at a studio company in Dubai. And actually the boss, the owner of that company, was having a second thought of hiring me because I just got out of college. I have zero experience because my parents pampered us so much that they didn't allow us to be a working student. So I have zero experience. But I told him, take a chance on me and I'm going to prove to you that you did not make a mistake on saying yes to me. So I worked as his assistant. I was just making coffee for everybody at work in the office. I was just making coffee, doing like copy paper and everything like that. Then from that, I was a receptionist. Then from that, I became the boss, the owner's executive assistant. And then I got the chance to be a production coordinator in that studio. And then I was experiencing things like I was actually getting a real hands-on job on what I like to do, which is in the film industry at that time. So yes, don't be afraid to take the lowest job and prove yourself, as long as you know that you are going to prove yourself. Don't be a jackass. Don't think that just because you have that degree, you are entitled for a manager position. No. Don't be afraid to take an entry-level job and prove yourself right off the bat.
Yeah.
Didn't you do that as well?
Yeah, I was. You
were a driver.
Yeah, I was a bus driver for the first job, and yeah, I probably could have worked at my parents' company. Didn't think about that much, but I probably could have done. But the character is built through a struggle. Character is built through the lessons you learn and clawing your way up from the bottom. and learning things the hard way and failing and everything else you do. Character is not built from just being handed like a check for $1 million or being handed a company. If you handed a company and you haven't been through the struggle of starting that company, you're going to run into the ground probably. Character is built from the struggle, and that makes us who we are today. Is the struggle to get to where we are.
Yes. So, next question is what are you most proud of in our relationship? Be careful.
I'm proud of you because we don't really have many physical possessions in a relationship. It's not a very physical as in possessions relationship, I'd say. So I'm proud of you.
I don't really understand this question. It's like, what are you proud of in our relationship? Well, the thing is, like, we don't compete with each other because he's different, I'm different. My skills are different from his. So I guess it balances it out because he's got this computer knowledge and all that. And then I have this more of the psychology type of thing. So we compete? We never compete with each other. We don't say like, oh, I have to be this because you're that. Oh, I need to have this because you have that. Oh, I need to... It's like there's no competition. I don't think we compete with each other. Do we?
No, we don't. If couples did that, that'd be weird. It'd probably be toxic for the relationship, I imagine.
Yeah.
I've never really thought about that much, but yeah.
I've heard... I know that there are some people like when they have like the same career path.
A couple of doctors in the family or something, I don't know.
No, it's like for example, it's like maybe like a real estate agent, if they are both real estate and they're both like, if someone is excelling, then it becomes like a competition with each other. I don't know, but I'm just glad that we don't compete with each other. I don't know, what are we proud of in our relationship? That's really very broad. Like, you can, like, as a married couple, I think you should always be proud of everything that you do together. I don't know, there are moments, I'm not going to say that we are perfect. We're way off being perfect. I have a lot of yada with our relationship because don't forget, we are interracial couple. So there's a like multicultural diversity here because he's British and we live in the USA. So he's British, I'm Filipino, we both live in the US. So there's like three culture right there. So there's a British culture, there's a US culture, then there's a Filipino culture that we both have to adjust to. So there's a lot of things about him that I'm like hard to adjust to, and there's a lot about me for sure that he's having hard time to adjust to. And then on top of that, we live in this country that's like that we both have to adjust to. So yes, so there's like multicultural diversity there. Then we are like interracial couples. So there's a lot that if a couple cannot be proud or cannot be like supportive. I mean, do you think I'm supportive of you?
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
Yeah, I think you are. But I think I'm proud of things in relationships. No, because the things that come and go, that's kind of a dumb question where you're proud of something in a relationship. Even if you're proud of your kids, well, your kids are one day going to up and leave you and have their own life. So it's only going to be you and your spouse. So you have to be proud of your spouse, really, because if you're proud of your big house and stuff, well, so what? You could lose your job and within 90 days they could foreclose on your house, So these physical possessions...
Yeah, then again, that becomes the conditional.
That's stupid, but, you're proud of your big screen TV set? Well, that's nothing to do with the marriage, You should be proud of your spouse and nothing... and what your spouse does and nothing else, because everything else is transient, is eventually gonna leave you at some point, even if you think it won't.
Yeah, that's true. So it's like I don't understand this question because what are you proud of the relationship, or what are you proud of the marriage? It's like, so am I supposed to just say that I'm proud of his accomplishment? I'm more proud. So that becomes that. If you have like a certain list of what you're proud of, it becomes conditional, I think.
Because you can say, I'm so proud of my husband who's a doctor at such and such hospital, but then, so what? He could leave you, or he could lose his job, or he could get sued, or something else. So you should be proud of
It's a big question mark.
the core of the person, and not the physical attributes or the characteristics of the person.
What are your dreams and goals for our relationship at this stage of our relationship?
I would say, getting stable in. I know it kind of goes back on the last thing I was talking about, Ray. Getting stable in our own house and everything is a goal of stability, and then paying off the house, because that house is not yours. It's still the bank's house. So basically, paying off the house, and then the house is 100% yours. So that in the future, when something happens to me, because something eventually will happen to all of us. When something happens to me, my wife and my future kids will have a house they can live in. And all I have to do is pay taxes on it and pay the bills, and that's it. So you have to be at a state where you know that when God calls your name, you can happily go and know that everything's taken care of down here. That's the next path forward, really, and that path involves getting other jobs and advancing my education and everything else, but the end goal is really creating stability here. So there's nothing to worry about anymore, because worrying about paying bills and stuff sucks. It really does. You don't leave someone with that.
I can't really add more to that. That's the whole marriage stability there. So do you feel that you have contributed enough to the relationship?
No, I don't think anybody can contribute enough to the
That
relationship.
was the last question.
Yeah. Nobody can contribute everything they have to the relationship. I think it's a varying degree between contributing 0% to a relationship and contributing maybe 75 to 80% to a relationship. But there's always more you can contribute to a relationship, because nobody on this planet is absolutely perfect. We are not like we can't always do everything we need to for our spouse, because we have a lot of conflicting interests all the time. So the relationship, we can never contribute 100% to a relationship. Maybe if we were independently wealthy and we could spend all day with our partner, we could contribute 100% to a relationship. But then guess what? We won't contribute 100% to our jobs or the business we're running or the other stuff back then. And then our relationships would fall apart. And actually, if you look at some of the very successful people, like I won't mention them, but the CEOs of a couple of companies, you'll notice that they have absolutely terrible relationships. Why? Well, the sliding scale with those guys is they are spending 100% on their online business that we may call Amazon or something, or SpaceX or whatever they're spending their time on, and they're spending 0% on relationships, and the relationships suck because of it. So we have to have this sliding scale where we spend so much on a job and so much on our relationships. We cannot put 100% on the relationships. You cannot give a relationship 100% ever. If you think you're giving a relationship 100%, I think you just kind of lying to yourself a little bit, because there's other competing things. You have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of the job. You have to take care of various other things. You have to clean the house. You have to do other things which may be essential for life but aren't essential for the relationship. So you can never give a relationship 100%. I don't know if you get that. It's like you can never give a relationship 100%. Maybe you Honestly, just look at the time during the day. How much time you spend at work versus how much time you spend sleeping versus how much time you spend with your spouse. You probably spend about 4 hours a day with your spouse, about 9 hours a day working, and God knows about another 8 hours a day sleeping. So you break it up by time, you're putting in probably 25% of your time into the relationship.
Well, it goes back to what we discussed earlier. It's like you continuously learn. You
Yeah.
cannot know everything because, like, this last question is, do you feel like you've contributed enough in the relationship? It's like, again, you are in the relationship for God knows for how long. And for as long as you are in that relationship, in whatever type of relationship you're in, you're just gonna have to learn from each other. You're never going to know your partner 100% just because you've been married for 50 years, just because you've been married way longer than 50 years, your golden years together. You are going to learn about your spouse, your partner, every waking hour. There is something that you're going to realize that you hate about this partner. You can't stand this type of things. See, there's a lot of things that you're going to like. There's also like, wow, moment with your partner. So every day is a new learning experience with each other. So I can't say that we have contributed enough in the relationship, and I don't think we will ever contribute enough in the relationship because, like I said, every day is going to be a whole new life, a whole new experience, and he's going to learn about me and I'm going to learn about him. Like all this YouTube thing, all this TikTok thing, all this Facebook thing, he's adapting and he's adjusting because I started it. It's something that I started doing. I learned that I like doing it, and it's just me. And there's a lot about him that I'm not into. Like, what was that? Like, you want to do hiking? Oh gosh, he wants to do camping. Oh, really? Me in the middle of nowhere with bugs buzzing around. So yeah, so again, there's a lot of things I'm going to learn about him. There are a lot of things he's going to learn about me, and it's about him adapting to my ways and me adapting to his ways and meeting that meeting halfway with each other. So do you feel like you contributed enough? Do I feel you contributed enough? No, there's no way that I contributed enough. Not because I'm home all day, not because he's home all day. No, it's not. It's just
relationships are about continued adjustment, basically. So you are continuously adjusting to the other person. From when you start dating the other person, you kind of work out the person's likes and dislikes, and that kind of continues all the way through, and it never ends because you'll have a day and you'll be like, oh man, that didn't work. I did such and such, and when you're dating, it's okay. It's okay. What is she allergic to seafood? With the basic stuff. Well, as you move further into the relationship, it's like, okay, what are her personal likes and dislikes? What happens if I leave the toothbrush out? Stuff like that.
And another thing is like one of the things that he just learning to adapt to is me making a surgery on his foot from time to time. So yeah, there's a lot of things that he has to deal with me. It's like I can't stand that. I can't stand that certain thing, and so there's a lot of things that I can't stand.
Yeah.
So
I think a warning sign is if you have a perfect relationship where everything seems to be perfect and your spouse agrees with you on absolutely everything, watch your back because something's not right there, and she's probably like behind the scenes saying, I hate this guy. This guy's an SOB. I don't like this guy, and because they may not say it publicly, but behind your back they may be, you know, other stuff may be going on that you don't really want to know about. If the relationship appears to be going too well, then maybe something's going on that you should probably look into there. Like, yeah, maybe she's I don't know, but, you know.
Yeah, if it's too good to be true, it is too good to be true. Because it's not always roses, petals on a bed. Never. And one thing that I learned in almost 6 years of relationship in our marriage is that don't listen to other people. Just don't. Because they are going to be biased. If it's your friends or your relatives or your family, even if they say there's no bias in this, that's BS. Don't listen, because it's not just bias because they're siding on you. Because the truth is, they're not siding on you. They have their own story in their head, and they have their own whatever fantasy life in their head. So don't listen to other people. Don't, like, you can take advices, you can take suggestions. Yes, if they suggest things, that they give you advice, choose wisely what you listen to. But don't let your relationship, don't let your marriage reflect and depend on other people's expectation. Don't live your life as they expect you to live it. Live your life, be in that relationship with each other. Kids are not part of your marriage. They're part of your life. They're part of your family. They're part of your responsibility, but they are not in your marriage. Marriage, when you walked up that aisle, or if you, whatever, when you put that ring on that finger, there was just the two of you. You both made that commitment. There were no children making that commitment. There are no friends making that commitment. There are no family or relatives making that commitment. No one is whispering in your ear telling you what to say or how to do it or when to do it. You both made that commitment. You made that decision. So that is like, there's that video that I have seen years ago. I showed it to him before. It's like this monk taught us a lesson as to why our rings are in that ring finger. And he said that, so if you see this, you have that middle finger bent like that. This is your middle finger, right? And he said, this is your parents. You are going to disconnect with your parents. These are your siblings. You are going to disconnect with your siblings. Now here is your friends, acquaintances, kids. You are going to disconnect with them. Now, pay attention to your spouse. No matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, you are not going to disconnect with your spouse. Because you made that commitment together. Not these people. It's just between the two of you. So that is the end of our questions on reflecting on life together. I hope we were able to help you guys, or I hope we shared some lessons and you got some, I don't know, morals from this. Why are you teary-eyed?
Not teary-eyed.
Yes, you are.
Sleeping.
Anyway, so if you like this video, don't forget to
like, share, and subscribe.
Until next time, thank you.